Have you ever wondered what the best cheap canvas for painting is on the market? Well, that is exactly what we're going to figure out in this video. I'm a full-time artist. I make colorful animal paintings in acrylics, and I'm always on the lookout for a way to save money, but also give my customers a good product. But I've tried out lots of cheap canvases to paint on in the past, and I haven't been that happy with them, honestly. But I thought maybe for this video, I would cast a wider net. So I got cheap canvases from all the popular places: Blick, Jerry's Artarama, Michael's, and I even went into Dollar Tree and got the cheapest canvas I could find there. So we're about to take a closer look at all of them, and we're about to figure out if any of these cheap, low-quality canvases are good enough to paint on, and if there is a clear winner when it comes to the best value for the money. What I've found in the past is that there are typically three things wrong with the canvases. One is that they are warped. Another is that the canvas itself is really saggy. Or third, they have wonky dimensions. For example, if it's supposed to be a 16 by 20 inch canvas, it'll be 16.5 inches by 20 inches, which makes it very difficult to frame because you have to have a custom frame made if you want to frame them later. Also, for the purposes of this video, I tried to get 16 by 20 canvases from all the places that I shopped at, but there was one, Dollar Tree, that I could not get a 16 by 20 inch canvas. Now, I could have if I would have ordered it in, but I didn't want to wait to do that. I just wanted to go in and shop in the store. And so because of that, I just got an 8 by 10 size on it. But all the other ones, we're going to be doing an apples to apples comparison, the exact same size, and then I will be showing on the screen exactly what each of them costs. So we will be able to tell which one is the best. The first canvas that we're going to look at is one of the ones from Jerry's Artarama. Now, it came in a pack of them, but I unwrapped them several months ago, and I actually made this painting back here. We're going to look at it closer here in a second. The Jerry's canvases, some of them are wrapped, and then every other one is not wrapped. I don't know if that really matters, but it is something to think about. And then the entire package is wrapped, but they have desiccant packets in here in the back. As for measurements, they are exactly 16 by 20. I measured all of them in the package, so this is a good sign. Bad thing is that about half of them are warped. Not all of them, but a pretty good number. The other bad thing with these canvases is that a lot of them were kind of saggy and have little areas that were popping out on the canvas. You can kind of see it here. One way to fix this is that you can put water on the back of the canvases, and then it will allow it to kind of tighten up a little bit when it dries. But sometimes with these thinner canvases, because all the cheap canvases are very thin, much thinner than the more expensive canvases, a lot of times with the cheap canvases, they won't hold the tightness even after you put the water on the back and let it dry, because sometimes it will work for a couple of days, but then it will end up sagging again over time. And so one of the tricks that I've learned to do is actually scrape on super heavy gloss gel medium over the areas that are kind of dented in, kind of like if you were frosting a cake, right? And then it makes the surface look flat. So that's one little hack that you can do if you're trying to save one of these cheap canvases. Now for a closer look at the painting that I made on one of these canvases to see how it held up over time, because I painted on this very thickly. It was the thickest impasto painting that I have ever done. And impasto means a painting with a lot of texture. So I put a lot of mediums in this to give the paint a really thick texture and feel. And as you can see, it held up quite well. It looks good. There's no sagging. The canvas is tight, but I did choose one of the tighter stretched canvases and one that was very straight without any warping. Next are the canvases from Michael's. We're going to look at the value 2-pack. Like the other ones, they came with desiccant packets. Overall, they seem pretty well made, actually, for a cheap canvas. The canvases are noticeably tighter than the ones from Jerry's. However, I want to show you there are some dents along the side of the canvas. These are things that might be able to come out with water, but if you wanted to save this canvas and make it look perfect, you'll probably have to use the gloss gel medium cover-up technique. Now for the measuring. Good news, the canvases were the exact correct dimensions, 16 by 20, but there was some warping. Regardless, the warping wasn't that bad. I would consider it an acceptable amount of warping that if you sold a painting that was made on it to a customer and you had a wire put on there, they probably wouldn't notice that much. But you can also fix the warping. I've made a video linked in the description that explains exactly how to do that. I'm making a note for later on each of these canvases so I know which ones they are. Because after we're all done with this part of the video, I'm going to do one last review so we can make sure to find exactly which one is the best. Now to unbox the Blick canvases, and I have 3 different levels of cheap canvases from Blick to go over. They really taped these boxes. They've got them packed really well. I'll be using some of this for packaging paintings later. Yay! So we've got the Super Value Pack, the Academic Pack, and last but not least, the Dick Blick Premier Traditional Profile. I'm going to take a closer look at the Super Value Pack canvases first because they are the cheapest. Like the other canvases, they have desiccant packets in them to control the humidity. These canvases are stretched fairly tight, not quite as tight as the ones from Michael's, but better than the ones from Jerry's. And similar to the canvases from Jerry's, some of them come wrapped and some of them don't. Now for some measuring. They are exactly 16 by 20 inches. As for warping, 1 out of the 5 canvases was a little bit warped, but not too bad. Now moving on to the Academic Pack. Like the others, there are desiccant packets. One thing that's cool is that they give you keys with these. This allows you to adjust the tension in the corners of the canvas later on. So this is definitely a step up from the other affordable canvases. These canvases aren't saggy, but they are a little bit more loosely stretched than the lower quality Dick Blick canvases, but not by much. As for being warped, both of these canvases were slightly warped, one more than the other, but not any more than the warping on all of the other affordable canvases that we've looked at. I would like to show you there are some dents along the sides of them. And these are the type of dents that a little bit of thick paint will cover up. Next, we're going to look at the Dick Blick Premier Canvas. I order these in a pack of 10 at a time so that way I can get the price down on them. And that's why I still consider them to be affordable. These also have desiccant packets and keys. I'm going to say these stretcher bars are noticeably thicker, very much better quality. The canvas is stretched tightly. There are no buckles or sagging areas. There are no dents. The measurements are exactly 16 by 20. There is a noticeable amount of warping. And unfortunately, the amount of warping was worse on these than all of the cheaper canvases. I would like to say though that I get these canvases a lot, and oftentimes there will be 2 out of the 10 that you get that will be warped, sometimes a 50-50 mix. And sometimes if they're warped bad enough, I've contacted Dick Blick and said, hey, a whole bunch of these are warped, like the entire box I got. So then they allowed me to exchange them for canvases that weren't warped. So just know that that is an option if you purchase these. Now, if you purchase the cheaper value packs, you can't just exchange one canvas, but since these are sold as singles as an option, they will allow you to exchange just one if 1 out of the 10 is damaged. Next, the canvas I got from Dollar Tree. Now this one is the smaller size. I mentioned that earlier in the video because they didn't carry the 16 by 20 size canvases there, but if you wanted to get them, you could order them online and have them shipped to store for free. And as expected, these look so cheap. The canvas is really thin. There were no desiccant packets in these. Surprisingly, it is stretched fairly tightly and there are no sagging marks, but you can see dents from where the stretcher bars have poked into the canvas over time. This is a signal that it is an extremely cheap canvas. I just tried it out on my wall and it is very warped. The measurements are exactly 8 by 10 though. So yeah, I don't know if I would use a Dollar Tree canvas. You can see one of the areas on here has some blemish marks, like some of the canvases sticking out. One thing I want to show you has to do with the thickness. You can see here that this is the highest price Dick Blick. It's significantly thicker than some of these other ones. And to compare the thickness of the Dollar Tree one next to the thickest one, it is thinner than all of the others. So the Dollar Tree canvas is really the worst of all of them. But honestly, I think that you could paint on any one of these really cheap value canvases. I think it just kind of depends on what you are making the work for. If you are selling it for a lot of money, you probably want to use the best of all of these canvases, which is the highest priced Dick Blick canvas, the Dick Blick Premier. And like I mentioned earlier, I paint on the Dick Blick Premier canvases all the time. I find that they are the best affordable option out there. But I wanted to just check out all of the options in this video because you never know, maybe I would find something new. And I was actually surprised at the overall quality of the Dick Blick academic canvases because they were also a really good value for the money. So if you don't want to spend a few dollars more for the Dick Blick Premier canvas, then the Dick Blick academic canvases are definitely a good option. All right, well, I hope you found this video helpful. If you would like to know how to fix a warped canvas, because about 25% of these canvases will end up warping over time, even if they are straight right out of the package, because this is just the nature of thin stretcher bars. So yeah, if you would like to learn how to fix your warped canvas, watch this video. All right, thank you so much for watching. See you next time.